if you want to incorporate any sort of social justice work or any sort of values-driven work into your business model, the work just needs to start with yourself. I think a lot of companies now are trying to think about how to engage in those conversations, but they haven't done the lifelong self-work required to be able to come to those conversations really prepared. Because we are in so many ways so intimately in relationship with the business that we run, we need to be really clear about who we are and what our values are and where we stand on things, and be able to really identify what's important to us, where maybe our blind spots are, what we don't know about, so that when we say we're going to go really hard on this cause, or we're going to say an opinion online and it's going to draw a lot of attention, there's no confused, we do it confidently. We do it knowing that we've done our research, that we've processed it, that we believe that what we're saying is right. I think a lot of people get in trouble when they feel like they need to respond and they need to make a public statement, but they haven't actually come to their own personal conclusions. And so they do it without a lot of confidence behind it, and they get called out for it really quickly. We're here to make mistakes, and there are certainly times where I've said something when I hadn't processed it and I wasn't able to actually confidently say, like, yes, this is what I believe, I'm going to stand behind it 100%. And those are those learning moments. And so I've had to go back and been like, I'm going to wait and learn more before I publicly make a statement. To package that all together, if you're getting started with the business and you know that you don't want it to just be a business that's exclusively for profit or exclusively for fame or fortune or whatever, it turns out like most people aren't going to make a lot of fame and fortune moving your craft into a business. But you just have to really sit and be like, how do I want to show up in this world? What are the values that are important for me? What are the causes that I'm willing to not necessarily die for, but like face a lot of scrutiny for? And am I ready for that? Because you got to be ready, because you're going to get called out for it if you are not ready. And if you are ready too, you're going to get called out, and it's going to be good if you're ready to do that. It's hard. Noticed that during this pandemic, there's been an increased demand for the work that we do as more consumers start to wake up to the fact that there are a lot of brands out there who say they stand for something but don't actually put their money where their mouth is. I talked before about kind of riding that line between value signaling for the purpose of marketing and customer acquisition and telling the story so that other people can feel inspired to jump on and also have to run a business with their values. I'm really careful to not market or to not use our company values as a customer acquisition tool. However, especially in the last few months, when everybody was like posting a black box, having after the death of George Floyd and after the national uprising that followed, a lot of people were just trying to jump on the bandwagon and say like, we think Black Lives Matter too. And a lot of people got pushback because they had never ever made a stance in favor or in support of Black lives up until that point. We've been talking about white supremacy for years. Like, it's not, engaging in that conversation wasn't difficult because we'd already set a precedent for engaging in that conversation. So I think that people noticed that. And so when we made a statement, there was no cognitive dissonance. People weren't like, what are you talking about? Like, you're a pottery company. People were like, oh yeah, East Fork's been talking about white supremacy for a long time. This makes sense. It's on brand for them. There have definitely been times where there was a decision that I felt like you're having to look at the bottom line and you're having to look at the financial realities of your business, and it makes you feel like you can't necessarily take a stand about something. I think a lot of people are worried about losing customers or losing business opportunities. I think that it's always more important to be on the right side of history, and there are going to be customers. Like, there are a lot of people in this world, turns out, and like we've at this point officially weeded out every single person on our Instagram feed from our followers and from our newsletter because we've made it very clear what our values are. And there was a moment where we had people being like, stop getting political, like, I'm here for the pottery, and those people unsubscribed, and we bid them a good life, and new people came along. And at this point, a lot of people who do purchase our pottery do so or were introduced to us because they were looking for a company to be able to support a consumer brand that wasn't just that was really walking the walk. Obviously, we're still working on walking the walk, but I think it's you just have to be able to take that first step and be like, it is worth it to make the right decision, even if it's going to cost more, even if it's going to take more time, even if it means that I have to give up this one opportunity. More opportunities will come, more people, more customers will come if you lose one or two. And the more you practice that, it feels really scary at first when you turn something down. There have been opportunities that we've turned down because when we sat with it, it really wasn't in alignment with our values. And we felt like a huge loss, a potential revenue loss or potential, customer acquisition loss. But there's not been one decision that we've made that I have regretted making. New opportunities have always followed.